नमस्कार, माझं नाव देवयानी परमानंद. I am a proud Indian and a proud Maharashtrian by birth. Maharashtra has a rich cultural heritage and it takes great pride in its traditions. And these beautiful traditions and vibrant history has given birth to its wonderful art, crafts and handlooms. Kala, Shilpa and Hatmag. Let's get to know more about this today. 7th August 1905 was the day when the Swadeshi movement started in India. To commemorate this day, Government of India has decided to celebrate 7th August every year as the National Handloom Day. And then I thought, why not give you a little tour of the handlooms of Maharashtra? I'm sure you must have heard of all the fantastic weaves of Maharashtra like the Paithani, the Narayan Pethi, the Himru, the Mashru, the block prints of Vidarbha. Maharashtra is the leading cotton producing states of the country. With such rich resources, it's obvious that all its handlooms, art and crafts are based on using this material extensively, that is cotton. Let me start with the exquisitely beautiful Paithani sari. Now, I have my own Paithani here to show it to you. Just a minute. Yes, this is my Paithani. The Paithani sari originates from the area of Paithan in Aurangabad district. It is also known as the Mahavastra. This pure silk woven sari is distinctive for its heavy gold zari work on it, especially on the pallu. This is the pallu. The border is also quite distinctive with criss-cross zari work. The saris have deep, rich colors, a heavy gold pallu, and motifs on the pallu are like flowers, fruits, birds such as peacocks and parrots, Raghu Maina, Bangdi More, Natsra More. It has small gold booties strewn all over the length of the material. Fibers used are pure silk and real zari, that is 1 kg of gold mixed with 1 tola of copper. 1 tola is equivalent to approximately 12 grams. The designs are completely handcrafted and Paithanis are very, very expensive and usually worn on special occasions such as marriages and festivals. Trade records from the 2nd century BC mention that silk and cotton of Pratishthan, that is modern day Paithan, were being exchanged for Roman wines and olive oil. Paithan has thus been a flourishing trade and textile center since the 2nd century BC. Don't you absolutely love this sari? I do. Let us now talk about Narayan Pethi saris. As per historical records, in 1630 AD, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj travelled to the Narayan Peth region where he camped for a while. When he left the place onward on his journey, a few of the weavers stayed behind. These were the weavers who started producing silk saris with a distinct style and design which came to be known as the Narayan Pethi saris. Narayan Pethi saris come from the Solapur district of Maharashtra. Now I have my own Narayan Pethi sari for you. I'll show it to you. Characterized by broad borders and vibrant colors, the body of the sari has small motifs or booties in the shape of Rudraksh. Now mine has a sort of a flower booty. And the most appealing aspect of a Narayan Pethi sari is that the borders and the pallu contrast with the color of the main sari. Okay. The Narayan Pethi saris sometimes have checked surface design with embroidery, and the border or pallu have nice intricate ethnic designs such as a temple border or like here, this is quite an ethnic design. Don't you love this sari? I do. Let us now talk about the Mashru and Himru fabrics of Maharashtra. Mashru and Himru fabrics originate from the Aurangabad district in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra. These two fabrics were once used for clothes or making clothes for the nobility. and cotton and silk is woven together here with the help of a special loom. Mushru is a satin weave fabric where cotton and silk yarn is used. Paitan is a famous center for producing mushru fabrics. Himru is woven from a silk yarn and gold thread on a silk ground, giving it a very nice, beautiful satiny sheen. These fabrics denoted nobility and royalty in olden times. These fabrics owe their opulence to the use of gold and silver threads in their weaving. As a result, the final cloth has a nice tinge of gold all across it. And these bold patterns and striking colors have helped retain the popularity of these fabrics, which are still used, in making bridal robes or veils and saris too. Although both Mushru and Himru are usually spoken together, the process of weaving differs, and creating Himru requires more skill and is slightly finer. So it is considered more exclusive than the Mushru. Let's talk now about the Khand material of Maharashtra. Now, Khand material is historically and culturally significant, very, very significant in Maharashtra. For social and religious occasions and celebrations during worship of gods and goddesses, it is a tradition to offer a sari and a khand blouse to the goddess. It is always folded in a very typical triangular fashion. Now, let me tell you one interesting fact. While black color is considered inauspicious and taboo for all auspicious occasions all over India, there is an exception in Maharashtra made only on the day of Makar Sankranti. On this day, on the day of Makar Sankranti, black too is considered auspicious, and ladies wear black saris and children wear black clothes with full gaiety. Do you want to have warm and durable chadar for your home? Then Solapuri chadar is your answer. These cotton chadars, also known as jacquard chadars, are known for their design and durability. They come in certain typical color combinations of grey and blue and green and maroon, and they are warm and comfortable, and their demand is absolutely all over the country. Now let us talk about a thermal fabric known as ghongdi. This fabric is made from a yarn made from sheep hair. Environmentally friendly, ghongdi is an organic fabric that is usually used to make outdoor clothing, but it is also used to make blankets and fine clothing and socks, etc. The fabric used to make clothing that is warm and well insulated. Wash these in cool water and see that they will never shrink, they will never fade, their colors will never run around. Washing simply makes them softer and stronger. Ghongdi is a natural fiber that is both renewable and sustainable. It is also said to have medicinal healing properties if you use it either as a blanket or something to sleep on. The medicinal properties that it has includes supposed to prevent blood clots and skin allergies, and also ease back pain. It is the nomads and shepherds of southern Maharashtra developed this handloom, and nowadays it is manufactured in the Nandurbar region of Maharashtra. Now comes the turn of the hand-blocked printed fabrics from Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. Hand-block printing is extensively done in the Vidarbha region by a community known as the Bhavsars. They use mainly natural colors. The painting is done with delicately carved wooden and brass blocks. The cloth on which the hand printing is done is either hand-woven silk or mill-made chiffon. The results are multicolored designs in traditional patterns. The tree of life, that motif, is very, very widely used. Quilts, floor coverings and bed covers are the various products which utilize this block print. And the dominant colors used are red and black. Let's talk about the special saris from Nagpur. These saris are woven on pit looms mainly with pure cotton yarn. The uniqueness of the Nagpur saris is that the designs are woven with Nagpuri wooden dobby. The designs are woven in stripes and checks, finely textured body and richly attractive borders. I am holding a frame which consists of the Worli painting of Maharashtra. Not many know that this beautiful Worli drawings in this frame originated actually from Maharashtra. These paintings originated from the Worli tribe living in the mountainous and coastal areas of the Gujarat-Maharashtra border. The elements that make up the paintings are basic shapes, circles, triangles and square that represent human life, daily human life. The triangles and circles are assumed to having been derived from the mountains and the sun respectively. The squares represent the piece of enclosed land. The central motive is in most ritual paintings is the square, and within the square is the drawing of the Palghat or the goddess of fertility. Around the square are scenes representing fishing, hunting, farming, festivals, dancing, etc. These paintings, which are attributed to a culture that can be dated back to the 2000 BC, they quite resemble the earliest paintings found at the rock shelters in Bhimbhetka near Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. Today, Worli paintings are found in a wider canvas spread across the whole world with designs including on clothes, bags, book covers and of course the walls. Wait, I'll show you my own sari which I have, which has Worli embroidery on it. Yes, so this is my Worli sari. See, you can see all the wonderful embroidery on the sari. Can you see? And see the border has printed Worli. I just love this sari. Any discussion about the art and crafts of Maharashtra cannot be complete without the mention of the Sawantwadi toys. India has a splendid tradition and history of wooden toys since 5,000 years. Sawantwadi in the Sindhudurg district of Maharashtra is also known for its amazing work in the wooden toys craft. Sawantwadi is famous for its toys, particularly the Dashavtar Ganji for playing cards and wooden toys made from the wood of the Indian coral tree and the mango tree. Seasoned wood is chiseled or carved into desired toy's shape. The cutout pieces are finished on a sander, painted and assembled. Sawantwadi is also known for its lacquerware furniture, chessboards and card games, wooden fruits and vegetables, bullock carts, various animals are the well-known toys of Sawantwadi. Size of these toys varies from 4 inches to 8 inches. Talking about Maharashtra, and can Kolhapur be left far behind? Not at all. This town has single-handedly brought everyone's feet to the ground. Literally, with the Kolhapuri chappals, of course. Made of leather, Kolhapuri chappals are famous for their characteristic rustic style and look and durability. Earliest records of Kolhapuri chappals date back to 13th century. These are open-toed with a T-strap and the leather is colored with vegetable dyes. This chappal has the necessary panache to carry off the asli Indian look. We covered textiles, paintings, toys, chappals, and now it is the time of Maharashtrian jewellery. Most of Maharashtra's traditional jewellery draws its designs from the nobles, that is those worn by the royalty, the royal Maratha family or the Peshwa family. Now, the quintessential Marathi look cannot be complete without the nose ring, typical nose ring known as the nut. It comprises of a gold string interwoven with pearls and precious and semi-precious stones. This is an ornament to be worn specifically by the married ladies only, as is the Mangal Sutra. Mangal Sutra is a string of small black and golden beads and with 2 vatis as pendants. This is the traditional Mangal Sutra, but nowadays you get various other designs in Mangal Sutras too. Another beautiful item, jewellery item, is the Kolhapuri Saz. Kolhapuri Saz is a very famous necklace from Kolhapur which can be worn in place of your Mangal Sutra. It is a neck piece with 21, it is a neck piece with golden beads and 21 these leaf shaped pendants. This necklace is considered auspicious for married women and almost everyone has this necklace. Kolhapuri Saz. Now I will be telling you about the Lakshmi Har. Can you see it? Yes. The Lakshmi Har is a coin shaped necklace with engraved motifs. All the coins are engraved with motifs of goddess Lakshmi. So this is also a very typical traditional jewelry item. Jewelry item is the Tanmani. Tanmani. 2 to 3 strings of pearls with the pendant and a mix of big and small stones, dangling pearls at the bottom. See, this can be either worn as a choker or loose. Now comes the Thushi. This is made of gold beads securely and thickly stitched on a red fabric strip. This looks very beautiful when worn. This is a single string of beads, is known as the Mohan Mar. Now look at these two pictures. One is a picture of a bride and a bridegroom. They are wearing a string of pearls on their forehead known as the Mundavar. The other picture is of a lady wearing all the traditional ornaments. So she can be seen wearing, this is a kanthi. She can be seen wearing a kanthi, a Mohan Mar, chinspeti, a rectangular small box threaded with golden threads and studded with pearls. In the hands, married ladies traditionally wear green bangles interspersed with gold. Then they wear patli, goat, tode, then a waki or an armlet or a baju band on the arm, kudi or earring made of 7 pearls worn by married ladies. Bugdi is worn on the top of the ear with dangling pearls, and on the toes they wear jodvi, a silver toe ring worn only by married women. And many more. Jewelry is endless. So I told you all about the handicrafts and handlooms of Maharashtra. And I know also that these are COVID times and you cannot visit Maharashtra to either see or buy these wonderful saris, textiles, paintings, toys, chappals, and of course the jewelry. And it's the festive season coming up. Festive season means gifting season. So, fikar not. Now comes the best part. All these wonderful handlooms and handicrafts of Maharashtra are available online on almost all the leading shopping sites. So what are you waiting for? Order them now. Jai Maharashtra.